What's up guys, I'm here with the third episode of the Westham United career mode in FIFA 18, and in the last episode we played Manchester United in the first game of the Premier League season, and we signed a Brazilian midfielder in Bruno Perez. These were the positives from the previous episode, but disappointingly Arnautovic is out for 7 months, so just lost our new signing out of injury, and he has torn his ACL. So Andre Ayew is replacing him currently on the left hand side. He can play at the right midfielder position, he can play up the striker and cam, why not at left mid? So he's going to be replacing Arnautovic in the next couple of games, and if he is not good enough to replace, we'll be looking to do some business in the transfer market before the end of the transfer window. So before going into the game, we got an offer for Edmilson Fernandez, and he looks to be one of the promising players in West Ham United. So I want to give him a lot of opportunity to grow at West Ham United rather than go out on a loan spell. So he's going to be staying with us this season. And moving into the second game in the Barclays Premier League, guys, this time once again it's an away fixture at St Mary's. This time we face a strong Southampton United with they still have Virgil van Dijk in defense, and they seem to have signed Cuadrado from Juventus, so that's a quality signing for them. And apart from that, it's a pretty standard looking Southampton lineup. And regarding our lineup, we have a couple of changes in this team that face Manchester United. We have Andre Ayew replacing Arnautovic, who is out for injury, and Bruno Perez kind of makes his full debut, and he's in the starting lineup, replacing Zabaleta, who did show a lack of pace in the previous game. He was caught on by the Manchester United wingers quite a bit, so I wanted to try out Bruno Perez and see how he fits in the right back position, which is his natural position, of course. The first 20 minutes were a bit stale, and after that we were really starting to create a lot of chances and create a lot of opportunities. We got a corner and we take it with Lanzini, and the cross was inch perfect, and Andre Ayew of all people, who was on the reserves for us, not even in the substitutes, in the bench, and he came on only because Arnautovic was injured from the last game, and he scores a banging header. Out of all people, Andre Ayew scores that. I think he's one of the shorter players in the team as well, so it was really good to see. And you got to tell about the cross as well, it was inch perfect, And Southampton didn't have a couple of chances, and it did mainly come through the right hand side with Juan Cuadrado. With his pace and skill, he was always a dangerous party to deal with, so Creswell was having his job cut out there. And Lanzini, once again, just take a look at the replay. That footwork was brilliant. Lanzini has already become the best player in this career mode so far, and Andre Ayew should have doubled the lead, but this time his finish with his right foot was not as clinical as his header. So it was a great performance from the team, and especially from Andre Ayew, who's replacing Arnautovic. He was perfect. He should have had a second goal, but not lucky enough to get a brace there. But I was really happy with the team's performance. We were completely bossing out Southampton, and if we continue to put in this kind of performance in the second half, there should be another goal or so in this game. So I made a really brave decision at the end of the first half to bring on Edmilson Fernandez and take out Mark Noble. It was a huge gamble. It might have been costly, but we were really convenient with the performance of the team, so that's why I wanted to bring Edmilson Fernandez. And this goal from defense to attack really quickly, and Lanzini was the player linking from defense to attack, drawing the ball and getting into the Southampton area. He passes out to Antonio with a couple of skills involved, and Antonio passing into Chicharito with a bit of deflection involved, and Chicharito scores from that. And that goal was really great to watch. I think we were really lucky with deflection from Virgil van Dijk. That was a bounce involved, and when Chicharito gets a ball inside the box, he's a fox in the box kind of striker. He doesn't miss an easy opportunity like that, and that finish was clinical as well. And that goal completely destroyed Southampton. They were all over the place defensively. I was able to play a lot of passes inside their penalty area, and once again a cross from Lanzini, and once again a header from Andre Ayew. He proves to be a great player, and that was the end of the game as well. 3-0 victory to us, a complete performance, clean sheet for defense and goalkeeper. 3 goals from our attackers and 3 points into the table, and that's 2 wins from 2 games now, and it's a perfect start from us. I'm really happy with the team, and it seems to be the perfect start for us, so I'm really happy with that. So before we move into the final game at Newcastle United, we have a cup game to play against Carabao Cup. I thought of simulating it, but I want to put in my second team where we have a lot of young players involved. And a brave formation, I decided to go with 3-5-2, having 2 attackers, 3 defenders and 5 midfielders across the board. There was a lot of players getting their debuts this season. Not kind of debut, but their first appearances this season, like Joe Hart, Fonte, Collins. And early on, it did not pay well at all. That was a bad start, especially for Collins and Joe Hart. Joe Hart might have got a hand to it, I wasn't convinced with the effort that he made to stop that shot. And Collins, he doesn't have pace, and once the ball went through him, he had no chance, and I had no chance. The backline is so slow with Zabaleta, Fonte and Collins, and it was a good finish from them. But once that goal went in, we were really completely bossing this game out. We were creating a lot of chances. We should have scored a couple of goals inside this first half as well, but we have to wait for the perfect moment to score. And once Byron gets a ball, and with the turn as well, he crosses to Carroll. And Carroll, getting his first appearance of the season, first start of the season, scores a beautiful goal. And just take a look at the replay as well. The technique behind that finish was absolutely sublime. I don't know if he meant to do that, but the technique really, and it was clearly on the limits as well. It could have gone out of the post, but we were lucky enough to get the goal. And Carroll did get an opportunity in the first half. This time, he should have scored. That was an easier chance compared to the previous one, and that's Carroll for you. He'll score one and he'll miss another. And the second goal didn't take long. Early in the second half, we score from Edmilson Fernandez, and this is why I don't want to don't want to let this guy go out on loan. He was fantastic. I forgot to mention in the Southampton game as well, and he gets a goal he deserved in this game. And the finish was fantastic as well, and their defense and midfield was not organized as well. And once a couple of goals went in, they were all over the place defensively. And I brought on Samuelson, one of the young players as well, and he assisted Andy Carroll. This time Andy Carroll is not messing with his left foot, and that was a clinical finisher. So Carroll, once again, we got options. If Hernandez doesn't work out, we got Andy Carroll who can score with his head, with his feet, and I'm really happy with that. And if you think we were finished with that, we are of course not. We do consider another goal and a beautiful finish shot, and I think Joe Hart should have at least parried this effort and it was a great shot, no doubt in that. But the fact it was so far out, I wasn't convinced with Joe Hart, and that's the reason I don't have my trust in Joe Hart, and that's the reason why Adrian is my first choice goalkeeper. So that was the end of the game, a bit of a scary moment at the end, but we were really the better team out there in this draw. So we finished 3-2 and we progress into the next round. And before getting into this game, we got an offer for Sam Burnham. It's a nice offer from Crystal Palace, but of course I'm not clearly looking to sell any of my players at the current position, and so we blocked the offer for any future offer for Sam Burnham. So moving into the third game of this episode, third game in the Premier League. Again, it's an away fixture, and this time it's at St James Park. We are yet to play a home fixture in the Premier League this campaign, so looking interesting though. So regarding the Newcastle lineup, it was a pretty standard lineup, and I think with this lineup we should be the favourites to win this game. But you never know in a Premier League game, anything could happen in the Premier League, and it's a very high intensity league, and we shouldn't be taking any team for granted. So we made a perfect start so far. Can we get 3 wins in 3 games? You have to wait until the end of this video to see out. So regarding our lineup, I went with a couple of changes. Sam Burnham is replacing Zabaleta at right back position, and Jose Fonte comes in, and apart from that, it's a pretty much unchanged lineup from us. And this game proved out to be a bit of a struggle. There were a couple of reasons. One is the shadows. Just look at the pitch. It was quite awful with the shadows and the sunlight. I just could not see. When the sunlight is on the kit, I just could not recognize the players exactly. Just could not recognize the players making runs in behind. So it was clearly a struggle for me to pick the passes out. And the second thing is that Newcastle, their formation, from the start they were digging in defensively. They had the formation 4-4-1-1. The defense and midfield wasn't moving forward at all. They were just moving away with their 2 strikers. So it was clearly a boring game. I just could not create a lot of chances. So I took off Chicharito and I bought an Andy Carroll to be an impactful sub, and I bought an Masuaku as well. Masuaku's his movement off the pitch is fantastic, you know. His dribbling, his crossing is good, and he makes a very good super sub. And he was quite involved in this build-up play as well. We had to be really patient with the build-up play, and we got a crucial goal in the 90th minute from Andy Carroll. And once again, his technique, well, like Giroud, who plays for Arsenal, like, he's not the favorite striker for me. Like, Hernandez has way better stats than him, but Andy Carroll proves to be one of the effective super subs I've used, you know, in this game. And once again, that finish was sublime, and that was the end of the game. A great performance. We had to be really patient for the goal though. So that's going to be the end of this episode, guys. If you enjoy the content, drop a like, and I will meet you in the next episode soon.